too. Like first we can help out in the monasteries and give clothes and stuff like that. But also nowadays, like if we are far away or we can't be there, like money is one way we can support the monks, right? So that can then translate to other things. But I guess the question is what's the proper way for us to give money to monks? And the other way around is like what's is the proper way for monks to handle money donations? And does it have to be given to the monastery instead, where they can, like, as a community, handle that differently? Yeah, thank you.
There is no way how you can give money to monks, and there is no way how monks can own money. It's just that simple. So there is absolutely no way how a monk can own money, and there is no way how lay people can give money to monks. But in the so-called Mendaka rule, the Buddha has explained that it is possible for monks to have an assistant. Lay people never give money to monks, and monks can never possess money. The Buddha says monks do not accept money. Well, when you say that in Burmese, I don't know how does it sound in English, but in Burmese, it immediately sounds, aha, those who touch money are not monks. That's not what it means, though. But the Buddha said, monks do not accept money. That, I think, is pretty strong statement, isn't it? And it's absolutely true. Monks do not accept money. So how to do that? Well, I distinguish direct and indirect donations. So direct donation is when a layperson donates directly. So for example, they have an apple, they come to a monk and they give a monk an apple. Sometimes Czech people here, they come at the time when I have meal, and they come, from far away, and they bring one apple and they say, "Venerable sir, I have brought you a gift." And they give me an apple. So when there is this gift, then I like to call it the direct donation, so that we can easily distinguish it from the indirect donation. What is an indirect donation? That is when the person does not have the apple, but they have some money. So how can they give the apple to the monk if they have only money? In that case, the monk has an assistant. Every monk in this world has exactly 7.753 billion assistants. Every monk in this world. Well, we will have to subtract the monks, right? Well, but that then would be, if we have 200,000 monks, then it would be 7.553 billion assistants. That should be enough. That's quite a lot of assistants, right? All of them are our assistants. You cannot say that you don't have an assistant. A monk cannot say that he doesn't have an assistant. Because I say they have assistant wherever they look. Wherever there are living beings who are not monks, they're actually their assistants. Monks or novices or nuns. So all others, they are the assistants. So we have quite a lot of assistants. We're pretty well off, aren't we? So if a layperson wants to give a gift to a monk, but they do not have exactly that what they want to give, they can give the money to an assistant, and the assistant then needs to ask the monk, "Venerable sir, if you need something, tell me." And the layperson, the donor, needs to come to the monk and he needs to say, "Venerable sir, if you need something, you need to tell your assistant." If they don't say it, well, then the monk cannot ask for anything, because the monk didn't receive money, right? And he doesn't care about money. So only when he is ordered to ask for whatever he needs, then he can ask for whatever he needs. but the monk doesn't owe the money. The money at the assistant is still owned by the donor. I will prove it. Suppose that the assistant will lose the money, or he will use it for his needs. Then the monk comes to the assistant and he will say, "Dear assistant, I want an apple." And the assistant will say, "Wait, maybe later." The monk will come like this 6 times. And even after the 6th time of asking the assistant for an apple, the assistant says, "Wait, maybe later." Or he doesn't say anything. Or he says, "Yes, I will take it. I will bring it very soon." And he doesn't bring it. Then there is a rule. The monk must inform the donor. Exactly what should the monk tell the donor was actually clearly instructed by the Buddha himself. The Buddha has instructed word by word to word, what the monk should tell to the donor if the assistant doesn't provide the monk with that what the monk wants. And in brief, it means, dear donor, your donation, your wealth did not bring any benefit to the monk. Rescue your wealth. If the monk doesn't tell this to the donor, then the monk has committed an offense. The monk must tell it to the donor. That's why when there are indirect donations, if I travel somewhere or whenever there are indirect donations, I always request that if the donations are given in the envelope, we must have their phone number of the donor, and I must have the photo of the envelope, so that if the assistant doesn't provide me with that what I want, I need to call the donor and say, "Oh, dear donor, your wealth didn't bring benefit to the monk. Rescue your wealth." Because if I don't do it, I have an offense. There's no way out of that. So as you can see, the monk doesn't own the money until the money becomes that what the monk needs, such as the robe, food, shelter, and medicine. The possession is not his, it's the donor's. And we could even extrapolate, we can even exaggerate, and we could say it's actually even a trouble for the monk because he has to take care of that money, right? Because it's not his, he has to take care. He's like the treasurer of the donors, right? Also, the lay people in the ideal case tell specifically what they actually want to be bought from that money. So for example, they want for the monk new robe, so they tell Venerable Sir, if you need a robe, tell your assistant. It is very important that lay people always tell the monk what for is the money supposed to be used. But it is also allowed, at least traditionally, that lay people can ask the monk, Venerable Sir, if you need anything or for anything you need, ask your assistant. But it seems that in the Buddha's time, this was not exactly, we do not have exactly that kind of situation. We do have those mentions, in the scriptures, but they are not exactly like that. So ideally, the people specify what they want their donation to be used for to the monk. They entrust the money at the assistant. They may tell it to the assistant, but they need to tell it in the first place to the monk. Venerable Sir, if you want a robe, tell your assistant. This is so important. Sometimes, or commonly, we will see in the traditional countries, lay people actually ask the monks, tell the monks 2 things. So they will say the worth. So they will say, Venerable Sir, I have donated. I've donated for your robes in the worth of, for example, $3 at your assistant. And then they say, Venerable Sir, if you need robes, ask your assistant. Or they can say, Venerable Sir, I have donated for anything you need in the worth of $3 at your assistant. If you need anything, please ask your assistant. The 2 sentences must be there. If you forget 1 sentence, it's useless. For the monk, that donation doesn't exist. He cannot tell anything. There was a case of an older monk, a strict monk, who did not get these 2 sentences. And then he was thinking, and the assistant also didn't ask the monk. So when neither the donor nor the assistant asked the monk, well, then this is a real trouble. So because the monk cannot tell the assistant anything, even indirectly. He cannot even tell the assistant, oh, dear assistant, didn't you forget to tell me something? No way. The monk is not allowed to do that. And this elder monk, what he did, he started to beat the table, thinking maybe the assistant will realize it. Then the assistant came and he was thinking, oh, Venerable Sir, what's going on? And the monk was just beating the table. And then the assistant realized, oh, I realized I stopped to tell you the sentence. Then he told him the sentence, but the monk realized that he actually indirectly requested that sentence. So the money had to be thrown into the waste bin. The monk is not even allowed to take this money that has been lost, so to speak, to a specific person. So you cannot say, well, then what's the problem? So the assistant doesn't tell the sentence, so the monk will give the money to some charity or to someone else. But that is also strictly prohibited. Well, because the money is not his. So he cannot do anything with that. So it's pretty difficult. For monks, donation of money is extremely difficult. That's why strict monks most appreciate if the donation is direct. I personally most appreciate if the donation is direct. How do lay people do direct donation to a monk? Well, they come to a monk and they say, Venerable Sir, if you need anything, tell me. Then when the monk needs something, he tells the donor and the donor can make the direct donation. It's much better. And the donor, there are so many benefits of direct donations. So many, it's just so wonderful. First, when you give a direct donation, you are happy about it because you know what the monk actually received. But even more importantly, you can share it. You cannot share merit of money. There's no donation called money. We have 10 kinds of donation. Money is not there. You cannot share money. Now imagine, what will the ghost do with money? In the ghost realm, they don't have any shops. So sharing donation of money is not possible. You can share only the direct donation. So it's very important. If someone donates indirectly, that's okay. When the monk needs it, he will ask his assistant, and then the monk actually can inform the donors, I have received the robe, or I have received the food, or I have received something I need. And then they can actually share the merit. But this will be very difficult. It's very cumbersome, especially if the monk receives a lot of indirect donations. It's very hard to take care of all of that. Whereas if he receives direct donations, then even if he receives 100,000s of direct donations, it's very easy to take care of that, because the people right after their donation, they know what they donated, right? So they just come to the monk and they say, "Oh, Venerable Sir, I donated to you apple. Let's share it and share the merit." So that's why direct donations are always most appreciated. All right, so I need to go. This was very fast. May you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you soon attain the eternal bliss of Nibbana.
So